Welcome back to the Analyzer series, where we watch golf videos from instructors giving you tips. I give my feedback. Some of it's good, some of it's not. But today we're going to take a look at a search term that I know it gets used a lot. Let's just go ahead and put it in. How to swing like a PGA Tour Pro. And we're going to go with the first one. So first one is actually Zach Johnson explaining how to swing like a pro. I don't think that'll work, but let's go for that next one. How to swing like a Tour Pro golfer from Me and My Golf. Never watched them, to be honest. Not sure what they're about, but we're going to take a look at this video. We're going to give you my opinion while we watch this video and see if this is a good one to watch, if it makes sense, or if it's just promising you the usual YouTube rabbit hole, empty promises. Let's get going. Okay, so just loaded this up. Let's get watching and see what they're all about.
YouTube, and welcome to Me and My Golf. We're your coaches, Andy and Pierce, and it's time for another Impact Show. And today we have a beauty. Pierce, what are we talking about?
We do, Andy. We're going to be showing you how to swing like a Tour Pro using an alignment stick. Let's take charge of your game.
It's going to be interesting. If that's all it takes, we better see a bunch of you out there.
So welcome to this week's Impact Show. You've joined us here on the 10th at the beautiful Asprey. Pierce, it's been a while since we've been on this tee, hasn't it? I've missed this tee a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to wreck it soon, I'm sure, but yeah, it's nice to be here.
Yes, hope you had a fantastic weekend. Now look, we have a great show today. We're talking about the common things that a Tour Pro would do. Now before we get into that, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the website, meandmygolf.com. The whole month of August is all about on-course and lowering your scores. Make sure you click on the icon and go and start your free trial. Loads of great content, including a video series next week going live. You won't want to miss it. Now, Pierce,
You know what?
the golf swing, look.
Let's take a look. I'm just curious what these guys are. 2 days coaching with Andy and Pierce. Join us for an exclusive 2-day coaching masterclass with PGA Tour golf coaches. Are they really PGA Tour golf coaches? Do they coach tour players? Andy Proudman and Pierce Ward at the Grand Club at the Fairmont, Grand Del Mar. Ooh, that's right by one of my academies. I might go check them out. $6,500 for a 2-day school. $6,500 2-day. So let's see. You stay. I guess you get 3 nights at a luxurious 5-star hotel. Okay, well that's something. 29th to 30th of July. I think this is already. Is this for next year? But $6,500, 3 nights. Me and My Golf online membership. So you get a free membership, 2 days full coaching. Now, I'm just curious, how much does the Grand Golf Club, Grand Del Mar in San Diego, let's take a look at how much that costs to stay there. Okay, we're going to put the check in 29th to 30th of July. So let's find July and see if they have anything. 29th, and they said 3 nights, so 1, 2, 3 nights. All right, so $600 a night. That doesn't include food. So it was $1,800 will go to the hotel. You get golf at the Grand Golf Club, which is probably a couple more $100 each time you play. So their cost is probably close to $3,000. So they're probably pulling in $3,500 a student for the instruction portion. Now, I'm just curious, does it say what the ratios are? No ratios. So who knows how many people are in this class at the same time? If I'm paying $3,000 for a 2-day seminar, what can I really get in 2 days? There's not much that you can get. And the real change doesn't happen that soon. Now, I can maybe see that they're going to bombard you with a bunch of information on what they see in your swing and maybe push you to their program. So it could be a good introduction to their program. And hey, if they can get it, they can get it. They probably, how many subscribers do they have? They have 1 million subscribers. So if they can find 20 people to put this down, and there's 2 of them, 10-to-1 ratio, they're making a smooth $35,000 each for 2 days, man. Now, I don't blame them for trying to make money. We all got to try and make money. So if you went to one of these schools, let me know in the comments down below, how did it go? Let me know your comments about how you feel about schools in general. I don't host schools because I don't believe in them. I don't believe that we're going to do our students justice by giving them a bunch of information. But let's just keep going and see what they say about this. How to swing like a Tour Pro.
We haven't got a particular method that we coach. There's lots of different ways to swing the golf club, but what we're going to do in this video is identify some of the common things that we see that the best players in the world do, and hopefully these things may benefit some of the viewers watching. And they're just guides, aren't they, really, of why, what they do and how they can potentially help the golf swing.
We get so many questions all the time about golf swings of the Tour Pros. Obviously, it's what people want to aspire towards. Can they actually achieve what they do? You know, not in the entirety of a golf swing, no.
How about just say, there's no way. Golf is the only sport that I know where average Joes compare themselves to the pros and try to be the pros. It's the equivalent of me being a softball player and upset that I don't swing like Shohei Ohtani, or a tennis player and compare my swing motion to John McEnroe back in the day. It's just such an unusual sport because I don't know any other sport where you do that. You just always compare yourself. You want to swing like them. You want to know there's some secrets, but you know what it comes down to? Ego. It's about hitting it further and straighter than your partner. So there's people that really find a way to take advantage of this.
But maybe certain, as you say, certain key aspects that we like to see, you can definitely transfer those into your game, can help you.
Okay, so let's start with the backswing. We're going to specifically start with the move away piece.
Yep.
And this is something that we talk about so often with golfers. If they can start in the right way, it makes things so much easier, doesn't it?
It sure does, yeah. So look, let's just have a look at, we'll go down to the plane view here. This is what we use when we analyse someone's plane in the golf swing. And what we would see is this is a backswing where the club is on plane at waist high, what we call parallel point 1. What we see with the best players in the world is generally they are here or ever so slightly outside of that. There are some that go well outside there, so they're either on plane or ever so slightly outside of that. It's very rare that we see a takeaway or a move away where the club head goes a long way inside. We're not saying you can't do this. Ray Floyd did it exceptionally well, but from here, the best players in the world will often see are either on plane or slightly above it.
Okay, yeah. So we talk about when the club is parallel to the ground, it's either
Okay, so that's good points that I've already pointed out, and I kind of use that checkpoint myself, but I don't use it to say the student has to get in that position. I use it as a reference point and looking at their cause and effect. If they get higher, no problem. As long as they can reroute it some way and make it efficient, that'll work fine. If they get inside, no problem, but we have to look at why they're getting inside, and can we try and close that gap by moving their bodies certain ways. And if they're physically incapable of doing that, that's where stretching, TPI comes in. But I haven't seen anything about setup. So I'm very disappointed that they didn't even talk about setup. Maybe it comes later.
Parallel to the target line or just in front of the hands, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, again, it's not like say you don't have to swing like this. This is what we're just identifying the best players in the world are round about like this. Yeah. So we have a drill for this, yeah?
We do. So alignment stick, obviously, we've mentioned this already. So all we're going to do is we're going to place it underneath the handle of the golf club like so. You won't be hitting golf shots with this. This is to promote the movement that you desire. Well, most I've got it alongside the sort of left side of my body, just below the belt in my case here. I've got very long legs. Some people it may be in a slightly different place. But what we're looking to do is when I take the club back is to keep this connection of the alignment stick across my body. So you can see here, parallel point 1, when I've got the connection of the alignment stick on my body, we can see the club head is ever so slightly outside of the plane line. You know, if I go inside, I'm going to disconnect and move the alignment stick away. So what we're after is, can you move the alignment stick away connected, and then as you swing up from there, can you get this dragging motion where you actually get the alignment stick and drag it down the left leg. By doing this, we know that you're going to be getting that trait that the tour pros get.
Okay, so a couple things that I agree with this. I've used this as well with some students to try and help them get that initial turn. Obviously, again, it depends on your ability to turn and your setup. But what I think they could have also added, which is what I do for my students, is give them a reference point on their feet for that midway point. So what I put is I put a little club on the foot line, but you want to match that alignment stick with your actual foot line, because then you can really reference the turn. And if you turn and stay connected like he wants you to do, that alignment rod should match up to your foot line. And that's the midway checkpoint. And that's where you start to talk about the dragging and the disconnection of the hands moving up. And I say disconnection, I just mean that they're starting to move along a different path. But the first move, I like it so far. Looks pretty good. I'd like to tidy it up a little bit by putting some more reference points. But again, where's the grip? Where's the ball position and your alignments? I mean, we just blasted right over that. And unfortunately, in the golf swing, when you talk about the tour pros, that's the first thing they check. They don't check pass or anything like that. They say, hey, where am I aiming? How's my ball position? How's my posture? And then they start working on their body mechanics.
So as soon as we disconnect that from the left side, it's going to give that club stuck behind the hands, which we don't generally like to see. Okay, let's take that away. Show us the swing then, Pierce. I know your swing is pretty similar to that, isn't it? You get the club a little bit more in front of the hands.
Something that you like to see. That's
well,
nice
maybe.
to say.
You swing like one.
All right, here we go. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. That's definitely something that I've worked at over the last couple of years.
And maybe that's why it works.
Oh, this one did work, didn't it? Right then, Andy, we've got the backswing how we would like it. Transition is the next phase. What do we see the best players do in transition?
Well, we see the best players, and we get asked this so much, Piers, how do we shallow the golf club? So from the top of the golf swing, we see that the best players, first of all, they start with the ground up, and as they start with the ground up, we see that the club will shallow in the downswing. Very hard thing for people to do. We often see the steepness start to the downswing, which causes all sorts of striking problems and directional problems as well.
Okay, so pretty simple then. So what are we going to do? You need that, obviously.
Alignment stick again. We're going to place underneath the grip, so underneath the grip end of the club there.
So you could actually do the phase in the backswing, keep it in for this next part.
And combine it all if you want to. Right.
Again,
so
not hitting shots doing this.
I'm going to do your moves that you did just demonstrate there, Piers. So as I move away, I'm sliding it down the leg, swing to the top of the swing. Now from here, what we want to focus on is where the alignment stick points to. If I start steep, it's going to point down towards the ground, almost towards my toe line. Now what we want to focus, start with the lower body, but get the alignment stick actually to move out in front of my target line. You can see as I do this now, I'm still activating the legs, but from here now the alignment stick points over there and the club is shallowing out, and from there I can go ahead and rotate back to the golf ball.
And the good thing with this, you get two things. When you shallow the club on the way down, you actually put the club face generally in a good place. We can see the club face in a good place because it makes the right wrist, what we call bow, a little bit more on the way down.
Or even my left wrist.
Oh, sorry, the left wrist, indeed it is, of course.
All right, so a couple things there too. Talking about left wrist bowing and shallowing, I mean, this is just a recipe for disaster I can see, and he doesn't reference that you have to maintain your lower body effectively to shallow. So I can see that without a reference point on his rear end, getting him that feeling that a lot of our amateurs are going to stand up and really drop that right shoulder, flatten everything out, and get so extreme that it could cause some issues. So I know this is saying how to swing like a tour pro golfer with an alignment rod, but you always need to have a reference point for your lower body, because the lower body has to work correctly to allow the spacing for you to drop it in the slots and get shallow. Hate that word, but to get shallow, because I can get as shallow as I like, but if I start standing up into the golf ball to allow my shoulders to level out, which does promote shallowing, I'm now going to be shaft humping the golf ball, and that's not a good look. So I would have liked to seen him use his bag, just put it against his rear end and say to the people, hey, when you get this motion, make sure you're moving the bag backwards as you drop down. So that'll help you maintain your spine angle, create the room that you need, and then get your club to shallow with that new lower body stability. But without that, this can just go chaotic. But still, no mention of the grip, ball placement.
I was looking from this view, obviously.
Okay, so I'm going to get that same feeling now without the alignment stick on there, back. Get that same feeling of shallowing it. They can feel that butt end of the club pointing out there, Piers. Nice. I'm going to go a little slower in this one, just to see if I can create that feeling.
So it doesn't go too much past mine. That was a really good hit.
That was nice.
Excellent, very good.
So look, there are lots of weird and wonderful backswings out there on the PGA Tour, and like we said, Piers, there's not one swing that you need to do.
So I wouldn't say that was a shallow swing. I'd say that was on plane. They both have really good swings. There's no arguing there. But I'm not really seeing much on how to swing like a tour golfer. I know that they're mentioning a couple things that most tour golfer pros do, but it all comes down to repeatability. As long as you do it the same way, who cares?
We see one thing in the downswing, Piers, that the majority of the players do, and they get very close to playing, don't they?
They are. They're very good at doing that. Now, we've got two ways of showing this off. We've got the plane view camera, and we've got the drone up in the sky as well, so if you're wondering what that noise was. So what we will see with those best players, we obviously spoke about it at point one about being close or slightly outside the plane. On the way down at what we call parallel points 3, we'll see that the club shaft is pretty much either on, slightly underneath it, or slightly above it. It will go very close to this. We see with amateurs they tend to be a little bit further away from it. With the best players, when they're getting slightly above the plane like that, we see a fade, generally speaking. If they're slightly underneath it, we'll see a little bit of a draw. Now, I think the good thing for this is, well, what can you learn from this? Well, if you are one of these guys who is really exaggerated in the downswing, for instance, this one here being very much over the top, we can train with the use of the alignment stick a different delivery. Okay. So alignment stick on the ground like so, approximately 10 to 15 degrees right of my target line. So as we said, your downswing is a little bit more like this, exaggerated over the top. What we have to do is match up the alignment stick on the ground. So I'm working hard now to get this alignment stick to match up that stick on the ground in rehearsals, and then when I hit the golf shot.
And this is a feeling, you know, you get in the club feeling like it's a little bit more behind you on the way down will hopefully get you about close to that plane line. And like you say, this is just a training and a feeling, Pierce, isn't it?
Okay, so I like the way they added that at the very end. This is just a feeling, so even though it might feel like you're exaggerated, you're probably not going to get to that position. You're going to be a little bit closer to that position. So that's great. I like that information there. However, they're missing, again, and this is what I'm finding when I'm watching more of these, is the reasoning behind why amateurs tend to be steep. There's no mention of reasoning. They just go straight to a blanket cure of what the shaft needs to do, but the shaft doesn't have a mind of its own. The shaft is connected to you. Why is the shaft not in those positions? Because you're not in those positions. And why are you not in those positions? It is hard to teach correctly with these tips. Yes, it's good information, but can it be applied to you? Who knows? It's a lottery shoot. It's like getting up there with the dice and rolling your dice, and you might roll some snake eyes, or you might roll a 7. Who knows what it is? It all depends on just luck of the draw.
Indeed, we're not saying that you need to be 15 degrees behind that plane when you are striking the golf ball, because we don't want you there. We just don't want you here. We want you nearer the plane.
Okay, so for the guy who gets it stuck underneath, what do we want?
All we'll do with that is we'll just flip it over on the other side. So again, to get it around, be 10 or 15 degrees on the other side, like so. And then on the way down, we can then work more towards getting that club out in front.
Slightly more in front. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got one for each there, which is...
So my personal philosophy is the golf swing is, think about your hands as the tail and the body is the dog. So the dog always wags the tail. Here, they're just talking about the tail. They're not talking about why the tail is doing the positions they are. They're just saying, get the tail in a new position. But in a game, in a motion where it is momentum-based, the tail cannot be on its own. It's going to follow the body and the motion and momentum of that body. So you can't cure the tail unless you cure the cause of the wag of the tail. Hope that makes sense.
We have got one for each. Shall I
Okay.
have a go at fixing the over the top?
Okay,
That'd
let's
be probably
give
a
it a
good one
shot,
to do, wouldn't it? Because we see a lot of that. So this is the one to fix the over the top. So as we said, a rehearsal, feeling this, the reel will probably be, it'll be near the plane. And you never know, Andy, I might get a little bit of a draw on this shot. That was about a 2-yard draw, I say.
I don't think you can do it much better than that, Pierce. Very nice.
So Andy, we have done the backswing, the transition and approaching impact. We now need to talk about impact. And you know what, I mean, we see the best players in the world, they strike the golf ball so well. How do they do it?
Well, look, we see this so often amongst amateurs, Piers. They tend to struggle with this penetrating ball flight
Yes.
that we see the pros get, and also this ball followed by the turf, which every golfer is after that pure strike, aren't they? So look, let's talk a little bit about where we see the pros add impact, and specifically, Piers, more with an iron. Now, we know we want to hit the golf ball slightly on the way down with the iron,
Yeah.
and what helps the pros do they get into a position where they are leaning the shaft forward at impact. Obviously the weight's on the lead side, but they get the shaft forward at impact. Roughly where the grip is opposite the inside of their lead leg pierce. And this is the same with the driver, just the nature of where the ball position is changes the delivery there.
Yeah.
Now, if we can get the shaft leaning forward, this is going to help get a slightly descending blow, but also deal off the club slightly. We're going to get a little bit more speed off the ball,
Yeah.
and we're also going to get a little bit more of a penetrating ball flight, which we're all after. We're all on that perfect shot, don't we, with the irons.
Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it, really? Okay, so you've got something going on the ground, obviously using the alignment stick. What's the drill?
Okay, so we've got 4 balls. The alignment stick is set up behind. We're going to literally move these 3 out the way. Don't need these. And we've got a very simple drill, Pierce. All we're going to do here, I'm going to have a practice swing first. And look, to help us get this slightly downward hit on the golf ball, we're going to have a short practice swing. And then we're actually going to go fairly hard, but we're going to really feel as if we can almost delay the club head, where we get the shaft leaning forward. We're going to strike hopefully somewhere where that ball would be, and that's going to give us that downward strike. So from here, look, short backswing, lean the shaft forward, almost like a little punch shot. This ball's going to come out really low,
Yeah.
but I'm going to get that downward strike and also deal off the club
So
pitch.
what would happen if you did something that we see normally where
If I
we
early
early
released
release
here,
and
I'm
throw
going
the
to
club down?
I'm going to hit that alignment stick.
So
there.
the objective is to definitely miss that alignment stick,
So
isn't
I'm
it?
just going to do a short little sort of
That's
chip
interesting
punch here.
because your ball position is quite forward there for your iron.
It is.
Does that make it a little harder for you?
Definitely harder,
Okay,
yeah.
I like it.
And you can see there, I'm just sort of getting that feeling of delaying the club, leaning the shaft forward, and then I'm going to get into actually more of a powerful hit from there, Chase, as well. So now I've got that feeling.
Okay, there was a very brief mention of ball position. That's a huge deal to me because ball position really affects the release point of your hands. And if your ball position is all over the place, your center of your body is trying to find that release point. And then let's say it's too far back, you got a forward shaft lean because you're trying to cheat the system because of what they're trying to tell you. Got to get that forward shaft lean. And I see this 95% of the amateurs get that forward shaft lean thinking that's what they need to be like at impact. But the opposite happens. When you get a forward shaft lean, you fall back to find that centerness and you have to scoop to get your hands out in front and you lose all the shaft lean, and it creates a lot of havoc for that disconnection of your body versus the ball position. So there's a mention of ball position, but there's no like, hey, this is what you need to check, and this is where the ball position needs to match up for this to work. This is what you should not do by getting your hands ahead at impact. This is why you should not invoke too much of a forward press. This is why you should not get a back press. And there's no warning here, man. If I had my amateurs do this, they'd be shattered, fiberglass everywhere, eyes getting poked out. You can do a similar thing by putting a T in the back behind the golf ball, a row of T's. That way, if you hit the thing, it's not going to shatter. But again, just briefly going through the ball position and then your grip and how the grip affects the hinging and where your release point happens with a weaker grip versus a strong grip. Weaker grip involves more hands rotating through the golf swing. Stronger grip means more body rotating, so you have to check what grip type you have. None of this is mentioned. It's just, again, a blanket idea to help swing like a tour pro. Nobody is going to swing like a tour pro following this because this video is just talking about shaft. Everything is shaft. The whole video is shaft. It should be titled How the Golf Shaft Works in a Tour Pro Swing. And then you can marry this up. At the beginning of the video, they should have just said, look, this video is basically the shaft motion of the tour player. What you do is probably something completely different. Come to our seminars and I can help work with your body mechanics to get you to make that club shaft do what the tour pros do or get closer that way. But this video is just to inform you what the shafts do and what the amateur shafts usually do. At least give some sort of warning out there before people start slashing away on the range like this.
On the short ones, I don't want that in the way when I'm hitting the big ones, just in case.
There you go, good.
It's a great way to train the short ones. And then from here now, same feeling.
Yeah.
Delaying that hit.
I love the way you're rehearsing these movements, and I think on the short one as well, particularly, holding the finish and getting feedback from that is a good thing to do as well. Yeah, very nice.
You see a penetrating shot there, Pierce. Nice strike. I didn't want to spoil the tee here at the Asprey by taking too much turf. More of a brush on that one, but it was still hitting down.
But you are definitely hitting down on that. Okay. 4 simple things the players do, the best players in the world. Now, we're not saying that you need to do all of those and put those into your golf swing now, but definitely evaluate if any of those could help you and how easy it would be for you to put that into your game. And also, guys, what we'd like to do is leave a comment down below. Let us know what you want us to do in your game to help you this year, and also hit that subscribe button for more great videos like this every single week.
So remember, guys, for the whole month of August, our theme...
All right, so that thing they said at the end, perfect, but say that at the beginning. That's all I gotta say. But I think it's a decent video. Definitely talks about the things that the tour pros tend to do that the average golfers cannot do. But remember, why is the biggest question I want you to ask. Why can't you do that? Because the club shaft does not have a mind of its own. You are controlling it. Your body is controlling that shaft. And the shaft is making up for issues in the body. That's the last thing to try and hit the golf ball is your hands and arms are trying to get in the position to save it. And if your path is moving incorrectly, it's most likely due to the rotation and the tilting issues, which then stems from body weight distribution, which also stems from correct setup for you, not just correct setup in general. So I hope that helps you. Let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget, if you can't afford golf lessons, I give out free live golf swing analysis right here, Sundays, 6 o'clock. Come join us. We got a packed house this Sunday. I'll see you next time. Fairways and greens.